Hey, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm trying to learn motion graphic templates a little bit better. And so today I thought I would just do a screen recording of making one. Just kind of going to start with a little bit of an idea and just go with it. So I'm going to provide a link to the motion graphic template and the After Effects file that I make this in below. And you can download it for yourself and play around. But I'm just going to do this little screen recording of me walking through making a motion graphic template to kind of just show you how easy it is, and prove to myself that I can do it more than anything. But anyways, so let's get started. Start with a new composition and make sure everything is as we want it. And let's start with making a circle. I want to do like a circle, circle title. That's not a circle. That's a square. All right, circle. And let's make it about that big and center the anchor point there. And let's go over and align this to the center. Great. Like I said, this is going to be really a real simple title. I'm not going to be really fancy with anything here. I'm going to call this master circle, and let's duplicate that. And we'll call this one circle background. And we'll shy that out. So I think let's just be real simple and we'll just pop this circle on with the scale. So I'll make a keyframe there and make a keyframe there. Let's go back to there, 0%. So now it just pops on. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's give it some easy ease, and there we go. Open up our graph here. Actually, you know what? Maybe we should have it overshoot a little bit. So we'll pop on maybe go there. We'll make another keyframe. So this keyframe here, maybe we'll overshoot that percentage by 10%. So we'll go. There we go. Now let's go into the speed graph editor and kind of make this a little, give it this a little character. So we're making it start fast here and then slow down and then kind of gently come back. There we go. So it overshoots and settles in. I'm actually feeling like this is a little too big of a circle. So I'm going to delete that. Sorry. Like I said, I'm just kind of starting from scratch. I have no plan. I'm just kind of doing my thing. So let's go back to our master circle here. Turn that back on. And let's just make that a little bit smaller. Let's start over. All right, so let's start with a circle. I like that size a little bit better. Let's center this up. We'll center up the anchor point by hitting Command and double tapping the pan behind tool. And then we'll center, align that up on our comp. And we'll call this master circle, from which all other circles I make will be created. Let's duplicate that. Call this our background circle. Okay. Let's shy our master circle for now, and we've got our background circle, and we are going to pop that on with a scale. So let's make a keyframe on our scale, move that ahead a little bit, make another keyframe, move this down to 0. And that pops on. Just linear. So let's give it a little bit of an overshoot. So this one will go up to 110%, and then we'll go ahead three keyframes, and go back down to 100%. So now it will come on and then settle in. It'll overshoot and settle in. So let's give this animation some character. Hit F9 and do a easy ease on those, just for simple. Keep things simple. And let's make this pop on real quick and then settle in. And then we'll ease back into the 100%. Let's see what that does. Oh, let's extend this out. Whoops. Here we go. All right. Just making that speed curve, give it some, there we go. I like that. I like how it pops on, overshoots, and then settles in. Cool. All right, so some other things we want to do is let's give this a color fill. So we'll go to our effects and search for fill, drop that on. It's going to make it red. Let's make it back to kind of a white. Here we go. Awesome. And let's go kind of a flat blue there. Very nice. All right, so now what I want to do is, as it's coming on, I think I want some lines to kind of shoot around, rotate around that. Just go to our master circle and let's duplicate that, pull it up, and unshy it. And let's turn off the fill, and we'll turn on the stroke. And let's make the color. Let's make the color white for now. Maybe give it a, let's go 5. Good. And let's increase the scale a little bit. Nice. Let's make this one be about the same size as that. So let's go 110. Let's go a little bit bigger. 112. Cool. All right, now what? So let's put a fill on this here, on this circle. Let's change it to circ lines 1. let's change it to white. And let's do let's add an animation here. Let's do a trim path. So what we want is, as this is shooting on, I think I want right about here, I want to have these circles shoot around. So what I'm going to do is I added a trim path, clicking this add button here, and I just want a portion of the circle, maybe yeah, 75% of it. And then we're going to use offset to rotate that around. See how it goes around like that? So I will make a keyframe here on the offset and go ahead about 20 frames, and let's do 2 rotations of that. So let's see what this looks like. So maybe we'll have that pop on a little bit earlier. Maybe just a little bit earlier. And I think it's a little too big. Let's go down to 3 pixels. And so we want that to rotate around. Maybe it's rotating too long. So we'll move that keyframe back. And then as it comes to a stop, we want to make that line disappear. So we're going to add a keyframe to our start frame. I think it's a start frame, or maybe it's an end frame. I can't remember. Let's try this. End frame, go ahead a few spaces. Nope, what we want is we want this part, since it's rotating this way, we want this end part to disappear into the top. So let's go to the start and we'll add a keyframe there. Go ahead a couple frames. There we go. So now as it's rotating around, in that final rotation, it kind of just shrinks into itself. There we go. I think I like that. As it keeps going around, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay. So I'm going to add a bunch of these, not a bunch, a couple, and I want to make sure that I can add color fill to each of those circles, so I can make all of those circle lines the same color or different color as my background. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in a new adjustment layer. We'll call this, just for now, circ lines color. And we're going to go over here to our effects and presets and go to expression controls. And we're going to go to color control. I'm going to add that to our adjustment layer, and I'm going to lock this adjustment layer here, so that way I can go now down to my circ lines 1 and find our effects fill, and I'm going to, I think, create a option click the stopwatch here, which creates expression color, and then I can take this pick whip, click on that, and drag it to the pick whip color here of our lines control. That should work, right? There it is. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So now we have this circ lines control, if you're following me, and it's controlling our circular lines here, and we can then change that adjustment layer expression control to whatever color we want. So if we want red or a darker blue or white, we can choose that. Now if I duplicate this circ lines 1, duplicate that once, and now we'll just make it a little bit bigger, and we will rotate it around a little bit. And now let's play that through. Now we've got these two lines kind of chasing each other around. I might want that a little bit more. There we go. And let's do that one more time, and we'll hit S for scale. Scale this one up a little bit more. And then hit R for rotation and rotate it around a little bit more. And I think I want those circles to end a little sooner. So I'm going to select all my circ lines 1, 2, and 3 and hit U and show off all my keyframes. I'm going to select these last keyframes. I'm going to move them in a little bit more. And I think I want everything to start a little bit sooner. Too soon. And I think I'm going back here. Let's go back and bring those keyframes back a little bit. We're just kind of fine-tuning a few things here. Cool. Alrighty. Now, if I go back to this adjustment layer here, see this color control? If I change the color to red, now all three of those circle lines are red. So I don't have to go through and change each one. I can control them all with one expression control. So let's change that back to white. Okay, so now let's have a word, our title, come up. So let's go to the end, close to the end here. And let's type in something. Welcome. I don't know. Let's choose. Maybe it's new. It's a nice little font here. Make it a little bit bigger. Let's make that auto. Give it a little space there. Let's go to the pan behind tool, hold down Command, double click to change that anchor point to the center. And let's align it into the center. Like I said, this is going to be real simple. So we just, want a welcome. We'll just say welcome, or put whatever you want. We can put more lines or more lines of text if you want. Let's pop this on. It's the same. So let's do scale and make that 0. And about there. Let's do 100%. Let's easy ease those. Come in here and kind of Get some characters so it'll shoot on and then ease in with that. Let's give it a little bit of a different speed here. So it'll come in a little bit slower than that circle, but and kind of fill that up. Ooh, another fun thing we might do is we might do a little, so if we go here to the text, animate, tracking, we want it to be about there, so we'll hit the tracking amount, and let's go back here. So what I'm looking at here is I kind of want that text to track in with and get a little bit wider. So I'm going to do this and select those keyframes. F9, easy ease. Give it a little bit of a curve. Maybe move that in. Nope. A lot of this is trial and error, just kind of figuring out what you think looks cool. Maybe it takes too long there. Let's see what happens if we do this. Maybe just as it gets there, we'll... I don't know, I'm just playing around, just kind of trying to find something that I like. Oh, that looks good. Cool. So here's our welcome text. So now we've got our circle popping on. We've got all of these other circles spinning around. I think let's add just another thing here. Let's do another stroke, and let's create a line here. What I want is this line to kind of shoot across that way. And let's give it a fill. So we'll go to that. Effects and presets, type in fill, and pull that there, make it white. Then we'll go to our lines color control layer here, open that up, let's lock it in place, and let's go to effects and fill and color, and option, click the stopwatch, grab the pick whip, go to that color. So now that line and all the other lines will change as I want them to. Cool. All right, so we've got this line, call that line 1. Whoops. Call that line 1. And let's kind of center. So now let's go back to this line. What I want to do is let's kind of get it positioned where we want it here. And we'll duplicate it, make another line, and we'll move that line up. Eyeball it into place. So this line, let's add a trim path to it. And so we want it to fill in, go across like that. So we'll start with our end here and go ahead maybe four keyframes or so and go at 100%. So now it's going to fill in from the right to, or from the left to the right, and then as it's doing that, we're going to make it disappear from left to right. So go to 100%. And then if we offset these keyframes, it should shoot across. Cool. So let's do the same thing to the top one, only we're going to have it go from right to left. So add trim paths, and we want to go from right to left, so we'll start with making end 100% and start 100%, and then we'll go 4 keyframes, and we will make this go from 100 to 0, and make this end go from 100 to 0, and then we'll offset these paths just a bit. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Maybe just a little bit longer. Oops, don't want that. Let's see, select these keyframes. Let's move them up a little bit. And let's figure out when we want these to shoot across. Let's just try it after those circles go. Let's see what happens. I think it needs to happen as everything else is happening here. Let's try that. Okay. Maybe we'll just offset these a little bit too. Yeah, I like that. All right. Happy with that. So now we need to, let's pop this out. So let's make our out transition here. About 4 seconds in, we will make it shrink back. So let's do this. So our title, hit S for scale, and we'll add a keyframe here. Let's go ahead a couple keyframes. Let's just increase that so it's gonna kind of get bigger and then disappear. to 0. And as that's happening, we want our background circle. Let's go to scale, hit a keyframe, and go ahead 10 keyframes and hit 0. Let's make that go a little bit faster. Cool. Awesome. All right, so now let's figure this out. So I think we have our animation ready. We've got welcome, and then it pops back out. Now let's turn on motion blur, and we will go through here, and let's turn on motion blur on all this stuff. There we go. Like I said, I'm trying not to be too fancy. Save that. All right, so now let's create our motion graphic template. So let's choose Essential Graphics. Let's call this circle title. All right, so let's select circle title as our composition. This is our motion graphics panel, Essential Graphics panel, and we'll call this circle title 01. So now let's go through here and add in everything we want into this panel that we want to be able to control when we put this in Premiere Pro. So the first thing we want to do is to be able to control the background circle color. So let's pull that up. There we go. Let's call this circle color. And we want to be able to control the lines color. So let's go to, remember we have our lines color in this circle lines color adjustment layer. And we'll go to effects, color control, color. Pull that up. Lines, oops. Lines color. And let's do our welcome. Oops. Go down here. I think it's text. Nope. Man, which one is it? Source text. There we go. And title text. Adding that motion blur kind of makes those circle lines kind of give it some more style there. Cool. So now let's move this to about 5 seconds, and let's right click here and go trim comp to work area. Cool. Let's set a poster frame so we know what this looks like. Let's do that spot right there. Set poster frame. So now we have a little thumbnail of what we're looking at. So I think we're ready to go. So let's export this out as a motion graphics template, which you do down here. Save it first. Cool. And let's browse to a file here. Let's save it to our MOGRT file. Save it there. And hit OK. Awesome. So now I believe we are done with After Effects. So let's hide that. Let's open up Premiere Pro and get started with a little project in Premiere Pro. Create a sequence. Let's pull in some footage into our awesome video project. Let's go to footage here. Cool. So we've got our footage. Beautiful girl running in a wheat field. Cool. So let's import our MOGRT file. So over here in our Essential Graphics panel, I'm going to click on this folder with an arrow button, or an arrow on it, folder with an arrow on it, and for importing Essential Motion Graphics file, choose that. It comes in, here it is. So now all we have to do is just drag this over and lay it on top of our footage. It's got to do, it's loading everything. There we go. And there it pops on and pops off. So let's give it a little bit of a thing there. Sometimes what I like to do is add a effect. So let's go to, sometimes I like to add a blur effect on the footage. So let's go to Gaussian blur, drop that on, go here and we'll add a keyframe on the blurriness in our effects panel, and go over here and make this blurry and repeat edge pixels. Welcome. And there it goes. And then the blurriness kind of goes out and you get started with your video. So let's go in over here. So as you can see in the Essential Graphics panel, we have all of those properties that we want to be able to control. So we can make this say hello, and we can make the circle be red, and we can make the lines be black. But you know what we didn't do is we did not make it so we could add a different color to the text. I just noticed that. So what you can do is, let's go back to After Effects, go back to our project here. Let's go to Welcome. Let's go to Fill. Drag in our fill effect onto Welcome. And now the Welcome is red. Go to Effects, Fill. Let's change that back to white. And we can take this color effect right here, pull it up to our Essential Graphics, and we can call this text color. Cool. Save that. Let's export it back out again. We'll call it, let's go to MOGRT file. Let's call it O2, circle title O2, hit OK. Go back to Premiere Pro. And let's go back to browse and import circle title 02. There we go. Let's delete this one here and go to browse, pull that in, wait for it to build. Cool. Awesome. So now we can go into our Essential Graphics and edit this. We can change this to something like hello. And we can make this a different color. Maybe we want it more yellow. I wonder if we can do, ooh, cool. So I can use my color picker and pick a color off of this video scene here. Maybe we'll go that's kind of cool. Let's do that. And let's make those lines be something like those green trees back there. And let's make the text I don't know. Let's try that, the wheat. There. That looks awful. That looks better. So now we've changed the color, we've changed our text color, line color, our words, and there we go. That's how you do it. So hopefully if you've stuck around and watched this whole darn video, you've learned something, or maybe I've made this seem like an easier process than what you thought it was. But either way, I had fun making it, and like I said, the files are downloadable in a link below, and if you like this, please subscribe and let me know that you gained something from this little experiment. All right, thanks. Have a great day.